we've been able to wipe someone's tax bill completely, which has been fantastic. Our average client, we're saving them about 50% on taxes. There's never been a single person I haven't been able to help. For every $75,000 you spend, you get $100K back. You can literally wipe out all your taxes if you do it correctly. And then I got a call and it said Office of the United States President. And that's how I learned from the most successful what they did. Maybe it's not a priority for the government to teach you how to not pay them. The tax code is really written for business owners.
Can you break down for us, like, what's been the most successful tax mitigation case study that you've had?
Yeah, I like to use one example.
Welcome to Beyond the Bottom Line. I'm your host, Joey Lalonde, and this show is where we pull back the curtains on how the ultra wealthy actually protect and grow their money without the gatekeeping or the complexity. Each week, I sit down with elite experts working with top business owners and wealthy families to reveal practical strategies that business owners can take action right now to keep more of what they earn and pay less in taxes legally. Today, I'm joined with none other than Heisey, CEO and founder of E002 Enterprises, financial advisor, business consultant, speaker, tax mitigation expert, who specializes in making what was once ultra wealthy only tax strategies accessible to any regular high income business owners. So if you're a business owner and you're looking to reduce your taxes and you think you're overpaying in taxes, then you might get some value out of that. So Ethan, welcome to the show.
Appreciate you, Joey. You always pump me up. I'm excited.
That's the whole point. Yeah. Let's go, man. Well, Ethan, you've built your entire business off around basically giving access to business owners the same tax strategies that was once only reserved for billionaires and the ultra wealthy of our country, right? So why do you think that business owners believe that tax strategies used by those billionaires are often out of reach and not even an option for them?
It's a good question. I was thinking about this the other day. I don't know if they necessarily think that it's out of reach for them, but if they do, perhaps it's because they just don't know where to find the advice.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that we work with are going to be business owners or highly compensated W-2 employees, but they might have like a CPA. And the CPA, the definition of a CPA is a certified public accountant, and they're very good at filing taxes for the most part. But you're generally paying them, $500 to $1,000 to file your tax. You're not necessarily paying them for strategic advice. So if you're getting all your advice from a CPA or your financial advisor over at Edward Jones, Charles Schwab, Raymond James, whoever you're using, they're not generally tax strategists, nor do they often have the designations to advise on tax strategy. So what we found is it sounds like a big term. All the ultra wealthy are not paying money in taxes, and a lot of times they aren't. If you go Google how much did Jeff Bezos pay in taxes the past few years, and you find like a $0 of what he personally might have paid.
Yep.
But I think it's just because they don't know. And if you don't know something, a lot of times it sounds like it's farther away than what it actually is. And it's still something, if you seek the right counsel and the right people, you can apply it to your life. And that's what you need to do, is find the right people that have the knowledge that are able to share it with you. And you got to build a team. If you don't have a team, you may not go as far as someone who does. What do they say? You're as good as the people you surround yourself with.
The 5 people.
Yeah, I love that, and it's really true. You need to work with people who have experience in that arena and find them, and then they will take you to that next level.
100%. And can you recall an example where like a business owner came to you and you had to basically break their belief in some of that area of like they didn't know what to do, how to reduce their tax burden, how to be more tax efficient, and through what when your network and your team, you kind of were able to break his belief and kind of prove him wrong, that there was some stuff that he was not applying that you could help him with? Anything you can remember?
Yeah, it's almost a similar theme though. I've never had a no, because people come to me and there's never been a single person I haven't been able to help. which has been
Yeah.
awesome. To me, it's so cool because I spent the last few years trying to figure out how do I have an offer that's impossible to say no to. At least, Alex Hormozy, he's always saying something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what we did, and we found offers that are so good it's impossible to say no to. But then, so these business owners are going on TikTok or they're going on Facebook or Meta now, and they're Instagram, and they're looking up tax strategies, and then now your feed's all full of tax strategy. But when they finally find the answer they've been looking for, because it is sounding too good to be true, then they get scared.
They don't implement it.
They don't move forward because they then take the answers they found from our firm or some other strategist that has the designation to talk about it to their current team, but their team isn't licensed or have the knowledge to advise on it. So then their team says, it's out of our scope, don't do it. So you get this cycle of people actually finding the advice, but then take it back to their team, and the team shoots it down because it's their friend who's been their CPA for 20 years that, one, they don't want to step on their toes, or that CPA says, because I don't understand it, because I don't understand trust law, because I'm a CPA, or I don't understand that contract law, I'm not going to sign off on it for you. And that's where you get in trouble. It goes back to having a team.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I totally agree with you. And I think, for example, whether it's your CPA or anybody else that you're working with, I think it's such a stigma. It's a taboo subject to talk about taxes or paying less taxes, because there's this clan that are like, oh, the rich needs to pay more taxes. And then there's the other clan that, oh, we don't want to pay less. So it's kind of taboo, and it's scary, right? You don't want to mess with the law. You don't want to do something that's not good. And most of the time your CPA are playing safe, right? When they say that to you. So do you believe that that's one of the main things that's bringing those business owners back in terms of improving their tax strategies, just relying on or being underserved by their team in certain aspects?
I think they are. I met with a guy last week for a specific example, and he had a lot of the stuff set up. I was thinking about him. He has a financial advisor who does his stocks.
Yeah.
He has a CPA who does tax strategy. He has a lawyer who he's currently setting up a trust with. So I asked him, I said, hey, when's the last time your CPA has talked with your estate planner? When's the last time your CPA talked with your financial advisor? And he goes, never. And I was like, well, why didn't you do that? So I asked him a simple question. I said, okay, cool. So your financial advisor, what has he done for you? And he goes, yeah, I got some mutual funds, and he set me up a life insurance policy that grows my money. And I said, cool, that's great. So what's the purpose of the life insurance policy? And he says, well, it's going to grow my money. It's going to pay out money to my heirs if I pass away as well. And I said, awesome. Are you getting a tax deduction for it? And he goes, no. And I said, okay, so that's going back to my point. Why didn't your financial advisor speak with your CPA or tax attorney to show you how to get a tax deduction for it? And he goes, I didn't think about that. I said, great. That's what we're here for. So we positioned ourselves as a family office. Yeah. And we've got those team in-house that they're all speaking together on your behalf. And so if they're speaking together, you can do a lot more because they just don't know. I mean, you're limiting yourself by speaking to someone who's really good in their one specific lane. They don't know all the other lanes that are out there, but they all work together. Everything works as a tool. It's just going back to diversification. Don't put all your money in one spot, because then you're stuck. And then the other thing we were working on with him was he was putting money into a trust so that when he does pass away, the money's going to avoid probate court and you heard that term, own nothing but control everything is what the Rockefellers say. But that trust didn't give him a tax deduction. So he was setting it up for what most people set trusts up for, which is for estate planning, but it wasn't also set up correctly for tax mitigation purposes. And you can do some creative things where opening up certain trusts to move your money into, pay no tax for the money that goes in there, and then some trusts are tax deferred, and then you can set up promissory notes or loans against the trusts and pull the money out tax free. You can literally wipe out all your taxes if you do it correctly. But if you do it wrong, then you're in trouble with IRS. So really just make sure you have a professional that's going to do it correctly. Otherwise, you could get into issues. don't.
That's so good. That's so good, and I've heard that so many times while speaking with people like you and other people on the show. It's most of the time that I hear it's the team. They have individual silos and they're working in silos. And I was just thinking about the analogy. It's like if you were going to the hospital, right? Like when you go to the hospital, your cardiologist speaks with your general doctor, right? Or with your people that takes care of your lungs. Like imagine if you went like individually to each one of them and they never talk to each other. Like you're never going to get the most efficient, right, recipe to get back healthy. So I think it's very similar to what you're speaking to right now. So that's really good.
Yeah, and take the advice as well. The funniest thing is when we'll advise someone, and because I'll bring in a tax attorney on our team to speak with a client.
Yeah.
And then they go to their cousin who's a plumber and they say, "Hey, this guy's telling me to do this. What are your thoughts?" And then the guy's like, "I don't know what that is. That sounds crazy." And then they come back to us and say, "Well, my cousin said no." And I ask him, "So what's his license to say no? What does he do for a living?"
Yeah.
"Well, he's a plumber." "Well, what are you doing? Why are you taking advice?" So follow the advice and then go forward with it. If it seems overwhelming, it's okay. It's your first time learning about it, but also don't jump into something too fast, because there are a lot of people on the internet that are, I think, that aren't designated to talk about things. So be careful what you hear as well. So look at the designations behind someone's name before you take the advice.
Yeah, for sure. And just to make it tactical for the listeners, the business owners watching this right now that perhaps might just have a CPA or working in silos with their team, like what would be the first step you would recommend them to do? Would it be to, I don't know, talk to other business owners and through referral base, like more successful business owners, and them asking them, okay, what's your team, and trying to get their own team? Is that the first step you would propose to them?
Yeah, find a great team. Don't settle for average. You want to, like when you hire employees, you want to interview your financial advisor as if they're going to become your employee. That's what you want. I mean, you're not sitting down with one CPA. You're talking with a few different CPAs to say, "What are you going to do for me?" Because most of the time, what I find is they're going to their CPAs, and these CPAs are going to say, "Great, you should be happy you're in a position to pay the amount of taxes you are. So just be happy, and let's do here's a couple tax write-offs." But that's it. You're not really getting advice from them. And then you end up having to go on the internet and Google, what are tax write-offs that I can do? And then you find something like, I can write off the square footage of my office. And then you take that back to the CPA, and the CPA says, "Oh yeah, you can do that." But the CPA didn't tell them that they could. Or the big one now I see on TikTok is the Augusta rule and all those types of things. But you're right. You need to interview someone and ask them, what are you actually going to do for me? Not just go hire the first person you find. And if you have to pay someone a higher fee, it's worth it if they're going to give you better service. Think about it as an investment, not a cost. If you're going to hire a CPA to just file your taxes, yes, go find the guy that's going to file it for $250, not $1,000. But if you're trying to mitigate your taxes, find somebody who's actually going to build a strategy for you. And if they happen to cost $2,000, but they're going to save you an additional $10, it's worth it. It's all an ROI. And that's what people forget. Saving taxes is an ROI. If I can get someone back 25 to 50%, our average client, we're saving them about 50% on taxes. We guarantee to save them 25% or they don't pay us anything. But let's say we can get them back 25% of their taxes. That's an ROI. You put that into a compounding interest calculator, 25% return on an investment, you would have to take on extreme risk to find 25% return. But reducing taxes, that in itself is a way to exponentially just get your investments at such a higher level without taking on more risk to do so. And so that's what we got to get in the frame of mind on, is taxes in itself is the biggest ROI. It's a wealth corroding situation if you're just going to pay all the taxes. But you got to go interview the right people, find the right team, and ask them, what are you going to do for me? Because if they're going to come back to you and they're going to say, If they don't have a plan, that's a red flag. If they don't have additional ideas that you don't, you could file your own tax. What's the point of using somebody except for saving yourself time? But they need to have a strategy and a plan on how to save you.
That's such great advice. So go ahead, find your team, and be careful with the advice you're getting from your current team, and be open to finding new ways. If you're stuck at the same place, right? Being complacent is one of the worst places you can be in business. So that's very good. That's very good. And I want you made that thing that you said about a lot of CPAs saying, you should be happy paying that much taxes, right? It means that you're successful. Kind of brings me on to the next question I wanted to ask you, being like, what's the biggest lie that you're being told, or business owners believe, in your opinion, about those advanced, let's say, tax strategies from what you've seen?
The biggest lie, I mean, that's a big one. It's just be happy you're paying it and pay your fair share. Which is good, but I just think of all the other good that I can do with my money if I'm saving my taxes. I can hire more employees. I can reinvest in my business more. It's not that I'm just going to go buy a bunch of Ferraris for myself. Maybe one or two, but not. You don't need a million of them.
No, exactly.
I think the biggest thing is just people are scared that they don't want to do one little mess up and then the IRS is going to come after them.
Yeah.
So just get with the right person who you know who has the financial backing, has a good track record. So when the CPAs that I partner with, for example, we have one on our team that is in his 70s. He's been in business for 50 years. That's all he's ever done.
Yeah.
He's 100% successful. Every single tax amendment or tax filing he's done, 100% have all gotten approved. And if there ever was an audit, you're bound to have a client that gets an audit at some point. They've all passed.
Yeah.
So you want someone that has not only the strategies and the designations, but also the ability to back up and say, look at my historical performance. We've always followed the law. Then you can feel comfortable moving forward with it. But the number one thing is people are just nervous to try something new because there's the chance of, what if the IRS audits me and I get in trouble? Well, at some point, there's going to be a random selection. But let's just make sure you have all of your documents in order, and that's why you hire a team to do that for you. The business owners are way too busy to file all their taxes and to learn the strategy on their own. You should be making money. The team you have behind you should be saving you money and showing you how to invest it. You need to know how to learn more skills to be more valuable in either your job or your business. And that's where your mind should be 95% of the time.
Yeah. No, that's good. And I'm a business owner myself, right? And again, I'm actively looking for those strategies myself and all that stuff. So, and one thing that I found that never fails is always to look at the track record. Like, to build a business, if we're talking to business owners making millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars a year, like you got to be smart to get to that point, right? So the best thing you need to do is, I don't know who said that, but confidence comes from having undeniable proof, right, of doing the same thing over and over again and having the same result. So if you look at someone, if you're doubting if it's true or if you're going to be in the right or anything like that, just look at the proof, ask the track record. If they're not able to give it to you, then you got your answer, right? So, but if you have the proof, you have the track record, then you should have no worries to be worried about that. So I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's all about trust. And if you don't have trust, someone told me business moves at the speed of trust.
Yeah.
You have to have that. That's the only reason things don't get done. But you got to, that's why I would say go back to someone's track record. And whenever I hire an employee, I'm looking at what have you done in your past successfully that proves I can trust you? Or, background check. Oh, you've done something fishy in the background. I don't know if I can trust that, but got to have the trust. Go out to lunch with your financial advisor. Go out to lunch with your CPA and get to know them. Because if you blindly trust them, you don't really know them. You really want to get to know the people that are going to, because they really end up being some of those important people that are going to be around for you. Yeah. Because they're managing your most important things. That's your money. Like, besides God and family, the next thing in line is, well,
Your wealth.
Your money. If you don't have money, you can't eat. You can't pay your bills. You can't support your family. You can't donate to charities. They're managing that, and if they do it wrong, it could blow up. One, you could get into legal trouble, or number two, 20 years later, if you weren't saving that 25% on taxes, you'd have 25% less of a portfolio. So you want to be able to trust them, get to know them. It's an investment, yes, because you're busy, but it's so worth it to, date your advisor for a little bit, and then you can put the ring and marry them. That's what it is. It's a lifelong relationship that you're building. Don't commit day one. Get to know them for some time. And that's huge. Learn about their family, learn about what makes them angry, learn about what their goals are. When are you going to retire? Are you just going to sign me up, build me a strategy, you retire in 5 years, and then this strategy I take to my other financial advisor or CPA and they don't understand what's going on? You need to have an exit plan, know everything about what that advisor is going to be doing and their vision for their future too, because you're now partnering together. It is a partnership with them, and you're both going to be making money because of it. That's exciting.
That's good. No, absolutely. And I think it's insightful. So I think first thing from what I've gotten from what you said so far is look at your current team and see if you can, if there's any holes or gaps or communication within them, right? And if that's the case, then looking on internet, looking on social media, looking on referral base to see if you can find a team that, again, has a track record and has been audited and audit proof, and you can make sure that you can have the right person, get to know them on a deeper level. I think this is very, really good tactical advice for business owners that are looking to get in a better tax efficient situation. I know you talk about you said you can say on average about 50% you're saying in taxes to business owners. Can you share the biggest amount you saved a business owner in taxes?
Yeah, we've been able to wipe someone's tax bill completely, out, which has been fantastic.
That's crazy.
It's generally not one strategy. You kind of have to layer things in.
Yeah.
Because you could do one strategy, then it prevents you from doing another one. So it's also the order of operations that you do them.
Yeah.
And it's business owners you can do a lot more work with. You can save them a ton more. W-2, it's generally a little more difficult because there's less options, but there's still a lot of options for W-2 employees. And then there's also some things you can do retroactive too. We're able to help people look at their prior returns and see what we can get them back. And we also guarantee you 25% return back on prior year's taxes, or you pay us nothing for those. Because that's how confident of a team that we are, because we only hire the best of the best on our financial advising team. We've got a tax attorney voted the top one in the entire country just a few years back and last year. We'll see what happens this year. We've got a CPA who's been in business for 70 years, IRS enrolled agents. We even know some IRS workers. We'll call them up because we have connections. And ask them, it's like, hey, have you ever been in this situation before? What do we look out for? So we're also using clients' hindsight as new clients' foresight. And we want to see, what we're learning from them to apply to these people. And whenever you hire someone, ask them, do you have any opinion letters that are written about you? As in, with these strategies that you're implementing it, how do they hold up in court? Do you have any case studies that have gone through court before? Ask, whenever an advisor shows you some sort of strategy, ask them what are the pros and cons to it. What's the best case scenario? Because you could do an amazing strategy, but then I don't know, we've had some clients with land easements and also things like studies that they've done that they wrote off, that then 3 years later the court comes back and says, hey, we're going to review those and vote if we still accept them or not. So there's risks of everything that you do, and you want to ask, what are the risks of the strategies that I'm implementing? So that's a big piece. People don't think about that. They think as soon as I do my taxes, it's one and done. But sometimes there's laws that have been changed, and it's affected people. So find some that have been around for 150 years. The laws have never changed, and you beat the risk. Example.
That's pretty crazy. So wiping out an entire tax bill, are we talking like, could that be six-figure tax bill, or is that below six figures? Or it doesn't matter?
Yeah, so generally you're going to need a 400K income, about $100,000
Hmm.
taxes of what you owed to get into that 50 to like 100% tax savings. But again, doing it the right way, layering it with things. Anything lower than that, you can still do some things, but you have less options. I mean, the tax code is really written for business owners and generally those that make more, higher incomes.
Got it.
That's usually where the big tax breaks are going to happen.
And if you were to explain it to me like I was a 12-year-old, how do you go ahead and wipe out an entire tax bill to someone making 500K income to up to millions of dollars in income?
That's why people pay me. But
give us the juice. Give us a little sneak peek.
I'll just give you a few different ideas of what you can do.
Yeah.
Because they're all out there, and they're not.
Of course, yeah.
As long as you find the right people to help you implement them, you can do them. They're available for individuals. A lot of them you have to be accredited investors to do. But here are a couple examples. You can do some things with convertible bonds that you purchase them at a certain level, like a $75,000 cost, and it's going to refund you about $100,000 in taxes. So for every $75,000 you spend, you get $100K back. There's going to be things like tribal credits. There's things like solar credits that you spend and you get a credit for your for the amount that you paid in. There's some of those have those pros and cons, so you got to be careful and study which ones you do. So don't just go out and implement that. Really research. And then of course there's structures where you can set up your LLC and S corp for C corps. What's the pros and cons to save you taxes? How do I set up a trust that I can just route money into? That's going to allow me not to pay any tax on them, but it's just a tax deferred asset. Then you can pull the money out tax free if you do it correctly or the right way. Other things like bonus depreciation, that's going to be a big one for this year. With what the big beautiful bill by Trump just voted in, you can write off 100% of bonus depreciation. You go buy some land if you don't want to go own it, you can, or farm equipment that you can purchase, and then you can write off the tax benefits for that, and you just run it through a firm, but you're basically just spending money to save money. It's got to hit all the requirements to do it again. You got to have your economic substance. You have to have all of the right requirements, so don't just go do it yourself. Make sure you're speaking with your legal team.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so those are a few different examples of what we've been able to use for clients. Some we don't use anymore, some we still do.
Yeah, I think like speaking with experts like you, what I've realized is that all of that information is out there. Like it's not the information that's missing. What's hard is putting those puzzle pieces together in the right order, like you're saying, right? So again, goes back to the importance of having the strong team that knows all of that, so you can know which piece of the puzzle goes right after the other. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, that's true. And even then, a lot of the information you can find on the internet, or you go to ChatGPT and type it in, Gemini, whatever you use. You'll find about half to 75% of those types of informations on, Augusta rule, or can I write this off? Can I write that off? For the most part, you'll find all of that out there. But if you're talking about the more elite strategies, it isn't quite there yet with ChatGPT. If you look at and see about those, because it doesn't understand the tax code to a T just yet, and how that puzzle piece fits in with this puzzle piece, because you got to ask it the right questions, and it's all about order of operations and how it all flows together. So it doesn't quite help you to that extreme yet. So that's why you do need to go to an expert of experts. I mean, you're not just going to a general. If you have a shoulder issue, you're going to a general practitioner. No, you don't go to a general practitioner for a shoulder issue. You're going to a specialist. So you don't just go to a doctor, you go to a specialist. And that's what you want, is someone who specializes in either a specific tax strategy or a specialist who knows a few different ones and how they all work. And then build that team out like we talked about.
Yeah. It's crazy because there's so many analogies with healthcare, right? And I think we're doing this because a lot of business owners or people in general, they trust the doctor, they trust healthcare. Whenever they go there, it's like, yeah, like you have a nice little dress on and you've got your graduation, your certificate in your office. Therefore, whatever you say, I'm going to do it, right? Yeah. But again, there's a lot of misinformation out there, so we cannot blame the skepticism nowadays. So, can you break down for us, like, do you recall like one like case study or a business owner? What's been the most successful like tax mitigation or tax saving case study that you've had over the past few years? Like which industry they were in, why they came to you, all that stuff.
Yeah, I like to use one example. It's a very generic example. It's not specific a person, so I can leave their name and info out. But
yeah, for sure.
What I like to explain to people is, okay, let's think about it as a process. So first step is let's look at what we can do on the last 3 years of your tax returns. So our compliance will allow us to look back at our past 3 years, and then we'll bring in our CPA and tax attorney to look at that for the client. And that's usually the statute of limitations. You can amend the last 3 years, typically. We'll see what we can get you back. Our team guarantees we can get at least 25% back from what you've already paid in for those last 3 years. So if we can get you 25% back in taxes, then we take that money we saved you and then route it into, let's say, a investment that can grow tax-free. Well, now you're avoiding capital gains tax. So let's say your capital gains tax rate's 15% federally and 5% on state. That's a 20% tax savings there too.
Yeah.
Then let's say we can take that money and then grow it. You know, the average person's making about 9.5% in the S&P 500. Our financial advisors on our team are able to get our average client to closer to a 15 to 17% growth by structuring in alternative investments with the market strategies.
Yep.
But add all that together. So if we just saved someone at 25% from their prior year, took that money and put that into an investment that's going to save them 20% of capital gains between federal and state, and then we got them a 15% return in the market / alternative investments, I mean, that's a 25 plus 20 plus 15. I mean, that's almost, what was that? It's like a 25. I mean, that's a huge return. I mean, if you add that together, that's over 70% return for the client. And if you're going to try to make that type of return anywhere, you have to take on substantial risks to make that. And that's the power of tax savings. It has an ROI. If you can save money in taxes, the ROI of that is compounding like no other investment can be. So that's the power of just saving investments or saving your taxes and then investing that money back into some sort of place. So don't just save it and go spend it. Save it and invest it. Put it in your business. Put it into something else. But then if you're talking about a case study of how do we save money at clients throughout the tax year, one thing that we did for a client was we kind of layered some strategies in where we said, okay, first, let's move some of your money into a spendthrift trust that was able to be a deduction for their dollars. We were able to set it up that way. They were able to put about half of their income in there. And then if they were to access the money out, we used our attorneys to set up the promissory note or let's say some sort of loan that because you're never taxed on loans, so they can pull their money out tax free. So that wiped out half of their income. which saves half of your tax. Then we layered in some of the other strategies, like some convertible notes that would lower your income for when you purchase them, and then we always maybe layered in some solar credits on top of that. Just some things in there to get you closer to that 75 to 100% tax savings. So it's an easy way to structure it. It's a case by case, so it doesn't work for everyone. Everyone's a different spot.
Yeah,
it depends on how you set up your LLC, if you're S corp, C corp, if you're a W-2. It all really matters. But again, it's about layering them in, order of operations of which deduction or which credit you implement first in your strategy.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm laughing because again, I'm a business owner myself, and hearing that, like, I'm learning as well. By the way, thank you for being an open book and sharing all that stuff. But right now I'm pissed. Like, why don't we know that before? And why do you think business owners don't know that? Because it does sound really good, right? And some might say too good to be true. But like, why does regular business owners don't know that is possible?
I think it just goes back to where you're getting your information from. Maybe you went to college and got a business degree, but what are they actually teaching you? I don't know. I got a theory though. I think college may not be here in the next 10, 15 years. I don't know. Because I was sitting in college when we didn't have Chat GPT at that time, but we at least had Google. So I'm sitting here laughing because the professor is just reading out of a textbook and all this information. I literally just could Google on the internet and find the same things. But now we have Chat GPT that I can just, it has multiple Harvard degrees in itself. I can just ask it a question and it gives me an answer. So people don't find this because it's not taught in schools. Like, if you go to school, what are you really learning? Let's say you're a business owner. Now, maybe if you're going to be some sort of
lawyer,
you got to go for that. But for like a business owners and our high net worth people, there was no tax classes. I didn't get taught on tax. For whatever reason, I don't know. Maybe it's not a priority for the government to teach you how to not pay them. so maybe that's why.
We can understand why. We can understand why, though.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's always things you can do for a client. I think the funniest one that we found was a client of ours got a tax deduction during 2020. It was in a certain city in the United States that if you happened to be gay and you owned a farm in that specific city, every single dollar that you put into that farm, you would have no taxes on it. And you could wipe out like half. It was like, and you would get a multiplier on the taxes. So we found that for the guy, and
he happened to be a gay farmer.
Yeah, it had to be within city limits. So we found it was such a.
That's crazy.
I just never heard that before. I just think that was interesting. So we were able to help him do that. It had to be a part of LGBT or Q, and so that was an interesting one. But again, there's not materials on the internet you can generally read for the higher end ones. For the small ones, like I'm going to write off the square footage of my office. Yeah, you can find that on the internet. But all the more advanced concepts, I don't, maybe people just aren't willing to put that on the internet because they're making too much money by keeping that information in house.
Yeah,
you have to pay. And it's not cheap. Like, to engage with our firm or even other firms that have this level of knowledge, you're not paying $1,000 to file your amendment. You're paying, tens of thousands for this to work a lot of times. So if that information then got on the public, maybe they would lose some of their income. So perhaps that's another reason.
Yep. That's crazy, because I think you just proved the core mission of the show. Because I think that's the reason we have this, is because we believe that a lot of that information is gate kept because of that reason, right? A lot of people are not willing to put that on the internet because, from what I understand from what you're saying, a lot of that stuff is really network based, right? It's who you know. It's who you know that can help you out with those types of niche problems, and you need to find the right people to do that. We're lucky today that we have access to network, and it's easier than ever to network with social media, with ads, with all that stuff. But that's really what I'm getting out of that. It's networking, right? It's finding the right people, and that's not easy. It's not easy. You have more options, but it's not easy to find the right people. That's still a scarce resource. So no, that's you're definitely right when you say that. If a business owner is listening right now and realize that they've been, again, missing out on these strategies, like what's step one in their journey that they can take right after this show?
Find someone that's more successful than what you're doing and apply it to your life. As simple as that. If someone it's all about networking.
Yeah.
And that's how I started my career. I was in college and I asked people who is more successful than you. I got a story if we have time for it. I can share with you.
Yeah, go for it, please.
So when I was in college, I had a commitment one day to it was a school project, and they said, hey, do a project. It was a business class. Do a project, and they didn't have any requirements. They just said it was entrepreneurship class. Create a project. So I said, all right, my project's going to be I'm going to meet a bunch of successful people, but I had to lay out how I was going to do it. So my task was ask someone who's more successful than you for an introduction every single day. So I first started out where it was me asking my teachers if they knew anyone that they could introduce me to. So they would introduce me to their other colleagues. And that went so far, but it really, it actually started with me. I would ask my friends, I said, hey, can I speak with your parents to learn about what they do for their work?
Yep.
And then I would go have an hour lunch with them and ask them questions like, tell me about what you've done for a living and how you got there. Do you like it? What's made you the most successful? Give me one little nugget I can write down for my life. So I would get that. Then I would ask them, okay, client, or not client, but father of my best friend, can you introduce me to one person who's more successful than you? And that was the one question I had to ask them. Who is one person you can introduce me that's a little bit more successful than you? So those parents would introduce me to their parents and then their boss. And then I would meet the boss's boss, and then the boss's boss would introduce me to their executives, and then eventually I would meet the owners of the company. Well, throughout this journey, there was eventually one person that as I did this, I asked them, I was like, hey, do you have someone that's more successful than you that I could be introduced to? And he says, sure, let me reach out to some people, and you may or may not get a phone call in the next few weeks. And I said, great. Well, I completely forgot about it. And then I got a random call, and it said Office of the United States President. I was like, that's interesting. I was like, what is that? So I was like, all right, this is probably a scam call. So I swiped it, and then I put the phone up to my ear, and it says, please hold for the Office of the United States President. And then it was a secretary of the United States, former United States President. It was one of the former ones. And says, hi, one of the former United States presidents would like to, and I'm not saying his name for, privacy purposes, it says, would like to meet with you for lunch. And I was like, what? This is crazy. So they said, all right, can you be free at this time next week? And I said, absolutely. So I canceled. I took the day off of my last year of my class, and I drove up to go see him. And so, social secret security is everywhere. You make one little movement, all these heads pop, and you're just like, guys from the newspapers are looking around in the corner. So I met with him, and the number one, and I asked him, I was like, same thing. Hey, who's more successful than you that you could introduce me to? And then he was like sending me like Mark Cuban's business partner's address and his other people that are like millionaires and billionaires, and that's how I got to start meeting high net worth individuals that had these strategies that I could learn and write them down. And that's how we then grew our business. We learned from the most successful what they did, and then just applied it to my personal life, built the team around me that could support this, and then now we go out and help people do the same thing. And that's what I find is the biggest thing, is just go find people that are more success. Success isn't that hard. You just have to go replicate what's already been done. It's not a secret. Just find someone that's more successful than you, take their advice, and actually apply it. The moment you don't apply someone's successful advice, maybe that isn't smart. I think that you should, if it's already a proven path, you should do it. And then you can tailor it toward who you are and maybe a little more about yourself later. But first, do what's already proven, and then you can kind of change up the formula to it later. But that's the thing, is just go find people that have already done it. It's not a secret. And most people are willing to share what's made them successful.
Yeah, so that was really good, Ethan. Thank you for sharing that again. I wanna hit you with that last recurring question I like to ask all the guests before we part ways, and I call it a legacy question. So if this episode were to outlive all of us, which probably will at one day if YouTube stays on, what's the one lesson about what we just talked about that you want every business owner to remember?
Money's great, but just don't make it your God. Remember what's most important, because it doesn't go with us when you pass away. We can talk about it all day long, save you a bunch of money, make you a bunch of money, but it's not the most important thing in your life. Just remember that, and I think that will take you very far.
Amen. Couldn't have said it better. Well, thank you for your time, Ethan. It was amazing. If you're a business owner that watched this episode, all I'm asking, if you got any value out of it, is to hit the subscribe button. There's going to be an episode dropping every single week with elite experts like Ethan, sharing as much as they can to help you out, keep more of what you earn, and pay less in taxes illegally. With that said, I'll see you guys on the next one.